Sorry about that. Roll call, please. Or actually, Pledge of Allegiance first by Councilmember Piche.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very much. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zanger,
Here.
Commissioner Kozmicki,
Here.
Commissioner Jordan. Here. And would have been Commissioner Stevens, but Commissioner Pache is here in
Present.
place. Thank you. And then Commissioner Pagrin is absent and Commissioner Pillsbury is absent. Pillsbury.
Thank you very much for that. Can I have a motion for acknowledged certificate of posting, please?
So moved.
We have a first. We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. This is opportunity to address items not appearing on the agenda. Do we have any public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment on Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment.
Thank you very much. I have an item for minutes, but I don't see any attachment. Is there? I guess we'll have to continue that item. Oh, it is attached on yours? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes then. A motion?
Yeah, so moved.
First and a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Minutes pass. All right, on to the, I'm sorry, there was a 5 and a 5A. Apologize, that would have been the link right there that I couldn't open there. Onto the regular agenda, which is receive and accept a status update on matters related to Pinnacles National Park and Hotel Incentive Program. Provide staff further direction if desired. We have Graciela Rodriguez here. Mike.
There we go. Good afternoon, committee chair and committee members. I will be providing a brief update on Pinnacles National Park and the Hotel Incentive Program. For Pinnacles, we did bring an item to the Board of Supervisors last month, and consensus was to place the item on hold. However, there is going to be consideration for budget allocation during budget hearings if the board so desires to go that route. Additionally, staff will be bringing back another element of the Pinnacles National Park, the scope of services for potentially branding. In May, I believe May 22nd is what we're striving for. So we'll be bringing that forward for board consideration. For the Hotel Incentive Program, there has been a change in dynamics in the administration office. The lead on this item, unfortunately, has transitioned to a new position, and the remaining Alice are allocating projects that she had been taken on. Hotel Incentive Program was one of those. Staff is looking at other comparable cities. A lot of the hotel incentive programs have been implemented by cities, so we have found other jurisdictions. For example, City of Morgan Hill, City of Soledad, City of Watsonville, Temecula. There are a few counties, and staff is hoping to do a comparable among all the agencies that may be similar to the one we have here in the City of Hollister. We're hoping to bring back that at the next tourism committee meeting. And as far as any other updates, I think that kind of covers most of it. But if there's any further direction that your committee would like to direct staff to do, we can certainly follow up on those as well.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment on Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment.
We'll bring it back to the committee. Any thoughts further on the branding, just for clarity, the item that was continued was the highway
Signage, yes.
Because we didn't have full unanimous support on the board, and we were told that if you do a legislative resolution, which is the route that we were looking at taking, as opposed to like going through the full legislative process, which is more extensive and it's too late in the session to do the full process, that the resolution would have required a unanimous support, basically. And we didn't, the supervisor wanted to get more stakeholder input, and there just wasn't going to be enough time basically to to move it forward in the May timeline that we needed to get it to the legislative session.
In addition to that, we are also looking at some of the questions that the board members had regarding postal service, if there's any changes regarding that. So we'll be reaching out to the appropriate agencies to kind of get a little bit more clarity, as well as clarity on the mileage and some of those unanswered questions as well.
Great. And the branding you were saying would come, you'll do a further discussion at the board level.
Yes, the branding aspect of Pinnacles National Park related to obviously the county. So we'll be bringing a scope and see if the board is able and willing to go down that route to seek a agency or a marketing firm that can assist the county in marketing the county itself, but also utilizing Pinnacles as an anchor point.
Great. So any questions, comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanger?
Yeah, just because you mentioned we were going to, during budget, we're going to maybe allocate some money potentially for the highway. Do we get a cost on that? I can't recall.
We did not get a cost, so the cost for that encapsulates all of Pinnacles. It's not just the signage, but potentially the marketing
Okay.
and any additional things that may be tied into the tourism.
Okay, so that'll just be part of we're just factoring that in as part of the branding effort in
Yes.
general. Okay, understood. And then the other question I had just on the hotel incentive program. What do we think? Do we have like a rough timeline, you think, of when we might get some information as far as what we could compare it to?
Aiming for the next tourism advisory committee, and then from there, wherever else we want to do a presentation. But for the next one, we're also planning to bring our planning staff to do a commercial zoning presentation as well.
Great, cool, thank you.
I have one question. Do we know, or can we capture how many folks stay in Hollister, San Juan, while visiting the Pinnacles? Like, instead of staying at the Pinnacles and camping? Do we have an idea?
So we do have a current contract with the city of Hollister Downtown Association.
HDA, yeah.
They have a software called Placer AI
Mm-hmm.
that helps kind of gather data on how many visitors we have for either a certain event, a certain place. So we can definitely see if they're able to provide some of those metrics for us.
So we can follow them potentially, and I don't know how deep the software goes, we're using that too. If they go to the Pinnacles, we can track them there, but can we track them back to here?
That is a great question. I don't have the answer at this moment, but I can definitely look into that for you.
Okay, cool, thank you.
I believe we can, just because I thought I remember the presentation, we could figure out where they went after leaving town, if I remember correctly. So I want to say yes on that
Yeah,
one.
if we can do it in the opposite direction, because, I mean, excuse me. Lots of people come into San Juan and Hollister, but to know if that cell phone stayed at like the Fairfield Inn and then went down to the Pinnacles, it might be easier to track somebody from the Pinnacles and say, hey, did you come back through here and what did you do?
Okay.
I don't know how deep that software goes.
We'll investigate and get you an answer.
Cool, thanks.
Anything further?
Well, I don't know how they're capturing that data. That sounds super interesting just in the, the mechanics behind that. But I don't know, could we just do like to track like how many occupants of the hotels, like voluntarily, could we have them just do like a survey to their patrons to track where they're going if they would consider going to the Pinnacles to help gather some data?
That could be an option. It would require coordination with the outside agencies to kind of get that information. But we
Okay.
can certainly explore that if that's the direction.
I'm not giving direction. I was just wondering how
Yeah.
we could gather data Because I don't know how they're getting data as to, like, if they're staying at this hotel, where do they go after? I don't know how they would capture that. 'cause we
They're
don't
just
have-
tracking cell phones data, so they know where they're just finding you based on your phone. So they're just seeing where the phones are and where they're going.
And we can
Okay.
certainly request a presentation from Omar Rosa. He's the one that's
Yeah,
driving that.
from Downtown Association.
Yes.
How do they get in our phones?
You say
Well, I didn't know
yes.
you could track
Oh.
that kind of thing. I didn't know that was like even legal to do.
Yeah, I was also a little surprised when we heard the presentation, but
That's
yeah,
the
I
whole
think they've been
cookie
doing
thing.
it for a long time, actually.
Yeah, that's the whole cookie thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess when,
It's
when you
incredible.
turn it on, you agree to it without really.
Oh,
reading the
E911,
fine
or
print
not
what it is.
E911, but GPS tracking, okay.
Accept
Yeah.
and continue.
Uh-huh.
The old days, it was just somebody with the binoculars staring.
It's up in a tree probably,
A
right?
little more sophisticated now.
With ghillie suit on.
Yeah, so that's great. So we may have more on the hotel incentive program. If any of us have the will to look around to help staff try to gather some more information, I think that would be great. And then the May would be, do you know if there's gonna be like dollar amounts attached to the presentation to the board, or is it more of a general, do we wanna go down this direction?
I can look into what other agencies have done, if they have a marketing contract, and see how much they
Oh.
allocate towards
It
that.
might be preliminary because we have to go through the budget process, but we
Yes.
also do have to have a dollar amount attached to it.
Yeah.
And I know there were some preliminary sort of broad numbers that were thrown around that we're trying to work with because of budget constraints, and we may not be able to do the whole sort of grand,
Internally, we can certainly have a discussion with the budget officer and see if we can allocate certain amounts to certain projects and keep it within that limit, and see what we can do with what we
Okay.
are.
Because it might make sense to at least allocate to the marketing campaign, and because the highway renaming might be down the road more, to save that one for, if we're trying to limit the amount of dollars we're spending in the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, anything further? I'm hearing none. I think that, thank you for the presentation. And that would, sorry, I'm going back to my notes here. That would, we did public comment? We did, thank you. And so that would take us to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports from anyone? Nothing, hearing none.
I have something, but it doesn't really pertain to this exactly, but it is statewide. A lot of local representatives went to Sacramento a Wednesday ago, a couple of weeks ago, and met with a lot of leaders from the state. And I know that we're all struggling with budgets on multiple levels, but the state is as well. So, we met with a lot of leaders. John Laird was there, and then a bunch of leaders from the state, and just kind of like to remind us all that it's not just us that's struggling with our budgets. All of our areas around Hollister and San Benito, it's statewide, so we're all trying to figure out how to make the dollars and cents work.
Great.
That's all I had.
Alrighty. We don't need to do public comment on committee reports. Okay. Future agenda items, any future agenda items? So we have the same Pinnacles National Park and the May, and the branding thing. And then, we had a conflict in June.
We do have a conflict in June, for the next committee meeting, not in May, but in June. June 25th is when we have this committee scheduled. However, for that particular date, probation has reserved the board chambers from, I believe, 2 to 5. My request to the committee is if we want to change the date, change the time, cancel it, or,
I think maybe, when we get to the May meeting, we'll see.
okay.
Or if, yeah, does that make sense? To
Mhm.
figure
Fine
that
with
out
me.
in May? All right.
Yeah.
No other future agenda items. Would take us to adjournment. Thank you very much. Short meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone for coming.
Sorry to prolong that.
No, you're okay. And